Marisa, has everyone been admitted?
Looks like it. You're set to go.
6 o'clock.
Okay, thanks. For folks who are here for the what is our regularly scheduled Transportation and Environment Committee meeting for Community Board 5 this evening, welcome. Our first item of the evening will actually be a joint item with our Parks and Public Spaces Committee, and for this segment, I'm going to turn ownership over to the chair, Craig Slutsky.
Great. Thanks, EJ. I'd like to welcome everybody to this joint meeting of the Parks and Public Spaces and Transportation and Environment Committees of Community Board 5. We have one item on the agenda, which is the review of the post-parade activities that we do annually for the activities surrounding near Madison Square Park. This is just to go through the process of what we're going to do tonight. I will just frame the conversation. I will allow the applicants to speak if they wish. Any committee member at that point can ask any questions if they'd like. We'll turn it over to the public if they have any questions, and then from there we'll go to a business session. During the business session, only the committee members can deliberate, unless otherwise requested by either me or EJ as chairs. We'll take a vote tonight. That will be the recommendation to the full board. The opinion of the full board or the decision of the full board is going to be at the full board meeting, which I believe is in 2 weeks or something to that effect. Please check cb5.org, and that meeting will be on Zoom as well. Just to give a little background of what exactly we're looking at. There are 6 groups that have parades that end near Madison Square Park during the spring and the summer. They are these groups: the Persian Parade, the Muslim Parade, the Pakistani Parade, the Filipino Parade, the Sikh Parade, and the Indian Parade. They have a post-parade event down Madison Avenue right by Madison Square Park. CB5 is asked to weigh in on these parades, and a representative from each of these 6 organizations hosting the event is in attendance tonight to speak. Our review in the past consisted of seeing what went wrong in past events, how to fix, and as well as route changes. On the former, in the past, there have been violations relating to such things as garbage removal, sound, route preparation, and other items. SAFO, the Street Activities Permit Office, the city agency responsible for street activities, would issue violations and let us know. Our policy has to auto deny an event if there were 2 years in a row that the event had violations. That being said, we've worked very closely with these organizations, and luckily there's a lot of the folks come back year after year, so there's not a lot of retraining, and we've gotten to a really good place. Each year before our committee meeting, I speak with SAFO to understand any current year or previous year issues, and I have a pre-meeting with the applicants to go over their applications. I'm happy to report that there were no violations to be concerned about, and 2, there are no significant route changes from the prior year. As a result, given the good behavior of the applicants, I expect that tonight's meeting will be a very positive one and run smoothly. Our friends at the Madison Square Park Conservancy participated in the pre-meeting as well, and any concerns of theirs have been addressed at that meeting. Of course, our position has been in the past, this is not the right place for these events, as the area is very congested and the streets have become packed. The operators are good partners, and this is not a reflection on the operators themselves. We don't think this is necessarily the right place for these types of events. And our resolutions have consistently said this. But as I said, we don't blame the operators for this. It's a SAFO issue. The 6 post-parade events are as follows this year, are scheduled for as follows. The Persian Parade is Sunday, April 23rd. The Sikh Cultural Society is on Saturday, April 29th. The Philippine Independence Day Council is Sunday, June 4th. The Federation of Indian Association event is on Sunday, August 20th. The Pakistani Day Festival is on Sunday, August 27th. And the Muslim Foundation of America is Sunday, September 24th. I do want to note that this is a special year for one of the groups, or especially special year. This is the 125th anniversary of the Philippine Independence Day, and the Filipino group is going to have an extra special celebration. On behalf of Community Board 5, I would like to congratulate you and your whole group on this momentous occasion. As I said, I discussed this with SAPO. I've just had conversations with SAPO. I've had discussions with Madison Square Park Conservancy. The one item that came out of our last meeting that I would request of the 6 operators is that when you get your sanitation sign off by the Department of Sanitation, is that at some point, not this or that evening, if you could just send a copy of it to our friends at Madison Square Park Conservancy, just for their records. There's no issue over there. We just want it for their records. I'm going to, at this point, now I've given everybody access, or I told everybody where the access to the applications. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to review them. As I said, there are no significant changes from the prior year. Each of the event organizers have to fill out the questionnaires and also sign off on the various restrictions and method of operations, including we're going to throw out our sanitation in an appropriate manner. We're going to have this amount of sound and have, not exceed this amount of decibel. Similar to on the SLAP committee, we have affidavits. This is essentially the same, a similar thing. So at this point, before I turn it over to the committee with any questions, I'm going to ask any of the 6 operators if they wish to speak or add anything to what I said. Please do not feel that you need to, but you're welcome to speak and talk about your event if you would like to. And if you want to do so, you can use the raise hand feature and I will find you.
Craig, can I talk?
Absolutely. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Craig, first of all, we are thankful to your committee.
Sir, why don't you tell everybody, why don't you tell everyone your name and what organization you're from?
Okay. My name is
not everyone else does.
My name is Gurdev Singh Kang. I represent the Sikh Culture Society, and we have a 6-day parade on April 29. And we have passed almost 35 years. We're working with all the NYPD, all the city agency and CB5. And we have no change like whatever we have last year. We have the same thing on this year. And we really appreciate it for you guys working with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see there was a comment in the chat from our friends from the Pakistani parade. I can hear everything. I think, does anybody else have any issues hearing? I think he said he had an issue. Then I think, unfortunately, I think it's your end. I'm sorry, sir. Oh, I probably should write that in the comments because he's probably not hearing this. Let me just edit on your, sorry. I'm telling somebody that who can't hear me that they can hear me. So anyway, are there any other, we'll get to the public in a moment, but before we go to the public, or is there anybody from any of the other 5 organizations that would like to speak? Okay, so are there any questions from either of the 2 committees? I think we'll just work this as a joint committee. I don't think we need to go first Parks, then Transportation. I think we can certainly speak as one committee. So are there any questions from the committee for any of the parade organizers? Okay. I see that we do have a question from the public. If anyone from the public would like to ask a question or make a comment, please raise your hand. Is Mike from the board office on?
Yeah,
Mike,
hey, Craig.
remind me because I just never remember. We do have someone who called in. What do they press? Star 6?
I believe it's *9 to raise their hand and *6 to unmute.
Okay.
I might have those backwards, but those are the two motions. Yeah.
So for the person who has called in, please press either *6 or *9. One of those will likely work. So we're going to start off tonight with Doreen. Let's see. Oh, I'm not host. So Mike, can you allow Denise to speak?
Yeah, they're allowed to speak. Yeah.
Okay. Doreen, I think you should be able to speak.
Doreen, you just need to unmute yourself and we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah, hello. I'm sorry I couldn't hear, so I just reconnected myself. So I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, so Doreen, might be we have technical difficulties. We're going to come back to you. Charles, disability. If you, Mike, if you can unmute him, you should be able to speak now, Charles.
Can you hear me okay?
We can. It's good to
Oh,
hear.
good.
Good to
Thank
hear
you.
from Thanks for coming tonight, Charles. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say that I enjoy the parades that go along Madison Avenue, each one of the applicants. What worked really well, I felt, was the Indian Day Parade last year. What they did was they didn't have the parade all at one go continuously. There were pauses between the different floats, and I think that worked well with pedestrian traffic because there's a Whole Foods on the corner of East 28th Street and Madison Avenue, and you know, sometimes there's people who need to get to the store. And what really worked well, I felt, was how I don't know if they were parade volunteers or if they were traffic enforcement, but there were people there with sort of like the barrier, and they were closing it at certain points to stop pedestrians crossing, and then they would open it to allow pedestrians to cross. And I feel that worked really well. But there was one parade, and I don't know which one it was, but there was one applicant where the unfortunately Madison Avenue was very congested with people. There was free food being given out between East 27th, between Madison and Park, and I felt like that was a little bit chaotic. There was no sort of like help with pedestrian flow. It was really, really, really packed, and it was very difficult to cross from you know, one side of Madison to the other, or even to get to the park. And I think what would help is when there's an applicant where there's a parade and a festival at the same time, because sometimes there's a parade and then at the end they have sometimes there's a festival and food and vendors and things like that. I think it would help if maybe the festival could be held on a different day to the parade, or maybe the next day, or maybe somewhere later on in the day, to avoid pedestrian congestion like that. But apart from that, the parades are great. I'm really grateful we have it. I think they're very important to the city, and it's always lovely to enjoy and hear the wonderful music and enjoy the cultures of our wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. And I think that they have the events on the same day just because people are out. You know, people are coming from all over, so they try to have the event on the same day. But the congestion is obviously an issue. But thank you for your comment. Let's try Doreen again. Mike, I'm assuming you're trying to unmute her. Mike, or
Yeah, she's allowed to speak. She just has to unmute.
one more shot. Okay. Okay. Luke, do you want to speak?
Hey, yes, I just
Hi, Luke. Luke is from the Madison Square Park, just so you know. Oh. Luke, can we hear you, Luke? Sorry for the technical issues, everyone. Go ahead, Luke.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Luke.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the operations manager with the Madison Square Park Conservancy. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to working with all of y'all for the parades. I will be there for the Sunday parades, and my coworker Christina will be on site for the Saturday parades. Yeah, that's all. For some reason, I can't get my camera on here, but yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Luke. And Luke participated in the pre-meeting with me, and we had a good dialogue with the applicants.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Luke. We'll try Doreen one more time. So I thought I heard her maybe get on before.
I unmuted. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but there's a lot of feedback. It's feedback.
Okay. He's gonna
Okay,
shut-
that's better.
shut this in. Okay. I'm just concerned why we have two applications this year. I have submitted the application in the name of the president of the Pakistan Day Parade for the last 7 years. I've handled all the paperwork for that. And it's a little confusing why we have another member who is submitting instead.
So I can only get from what SAPO gave to us, what we get for, the applications from the SAPO and Parks Department. Marisa, we just get the one application, and that's what the Parks Department got, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Kim gets the applications every year. She sends them to the contact name on the form, and that's our follow-up. So
Yeah, so I have sent that. It was submitted earlier in 2022 this year. And all the paperwork is the same. Last year, the paperwork was submitted to Community Board 5 on March 3rd, I believe. Everything is exactly the same. The date is August 27th rather than August 28th this year. And all the other information is the same.
That's correct. And we have the application that was submitted to Community Board 5. I have that. We have that.
Okay. Today, I submitted the paperwork that was exactly the same as the one last year with the date changed, and sent several emails, but I did not get a return email from Community Board 5.
So we have it as the applicant as Muhammad John, who I think is on right now. I think he's on here. I see him sort of nodding. And my suggestion is, because that's who the applicant is, my suggestion is you have a conversation with him. And if there are any issues, speak to the Parks Department, because right now the application is under his name, and that's for that same day.
What happened to the application you submitted?
Why don't you ask that question? Okay, I'm speaking for the president of the association, who is here with me. We're not signing in on two separate meetings, because then you would have the feedback from the two of us.
Okay.
But this is a little unprecedented, and all of the paperwork, as I said, has been sent exactly the same way as it was for the last 7 years. By first the chairman of the committee, and now the president of the committee.
So you're saying that the application that we got was not from the right, was not from an unauthorized person?
I'm sorry, this is Hamid Syed, president of the Pakistan Day Parade Committee. John Mohammed is a member of us, and he submitted an application under Pakistan Association. I'm trying to figure out how's that happened. I was told only today about these things that is happening. But I've been operating the parade for past almost 7 or 8 years. And every year we file the application. He cannot be applicant.
Okay, so this is a conversation, because we don't, that would be something you would have to discuss with the Parks Department, because I'm looking at the Parks Department printout, and he is the applicant. Muhammad John is the applicant name.
I was applicant last year too over there. Maybe usually they never ask us the application right away.
Okay, so this is a conversation I think you have to have with the Parks
Okay.
Department. Maurice, is that correct? This is a conversation with the Parks Department they would have to.
this seems like an internal issue
Yeah.
for that organization, and
Yes.
it's something you need to work out amongst yourselves.
Yes, but my understanding is that it's still, it's that day that you had described. There were no violations last year, and the route is going to be the same. Is that your understanding, sir?
Yeah, the last year's the permit was under my name, and I did conducted everything there myself.
Yep. I remember you. I remember your voice. I knew your voice well. So, okay, so I think that this is an internal, I would discuss that with him, and if there are any issues, I think you need to contact SAFO and the Department of Parks and resolve it. That would not be something that we would be resolving for you.
No, like I said, this is the first time I'm aware of it, and I will figure this one out. Not a problem.
Okay. Thanks, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Doreen, you get back to the meeting.
Okay, good hearing from you. Let us know if we can be of assistance, but I'm not sure what we can do at this point. So I'm going to bring this into the business session. Are there any comments or from the committees? Okay, doesn't sound like there are any, so we will take this as a vote. As a reminder, when we're in a joint committee, we vote as a whole, so it's the combination of the two committees. We don't vote each committee, and if somebody is on both committees, they only vote once. I think Kathy's on both committees. She only votes once, obviously. So Kim, I see you. You have the voting list. Do you want to take a vote?
Great, thanks everyone. Slutskin,
Yes.
Kalifarsky,
Yes.
Achilles,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Cedillo,
Yes.
Ellington,
Yes.
Ford, Sashow,
Yes.
Haas,
So just to confirm, are we voting in favor of like how Craig positioned this in the
Yes.
beginning of the call? Okay, yes.
Achilles, George Achilles.
Yes.
Sorry, I might be pronouncing that incredibly wrong. Harris,
Yes.
John, Kabak,
Yes.
Kang,
Yes.
Lavinia,
Yes.
Levesey,
Yes.
Maxman,
Yes.
McCall is yes. Sigmund,
Yes.
Spandorf,
Yes.
Spence,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
and Young.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's everyone that's here right now.
Thanks, Kim. So we will, as I mentioned, we will vote on this as a full board, the second Thursday of March. But I do want to wish good luck to each of the parade participants. We are looking forward to it. I'm sure some of us or many of us will attend some or all of these events. So I thank you, and I'm going to close out this joint committee of the Parks and Public Spaces and Transportation and Environment Committee. Parks and Public Spaces Committee members, you are welcome to stay on and listen to the TD meeting, although it is not required. And at this time, I will go back to EJ. Thank you, EJ. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks to the parade applicants for joining us this evening, and thanks to the Park Committee. Appreciate it. Members of the Transportation and Environment Committee, we will now proceed with the other two items on our agenda. Our agenda has two items. One is an intercity bus stop request, and one is a sightseeing bus stop request. I'll start by reiterating that Community Board 5 has standing positions stating that we would, instead of getting these bus stop requests ad hoc and piecemeal and one by one, we'd prefer that DOT create a comprehensive plan for the placement of bus stops in the community, and that intercity bus stops be moved entirely into the Port Authority bus terminal or a successor intercity bus terminal. However, given the process the DOT currently uses to place these permits on an ad hoc basis, we do want to, despite these standing positions, nevertheless provide a forum for any community feedback about these specific locations that DOT says that they are planning to issue. Again, despite our standing blanket position on all of the bus stops of these types. For each of these two requests tonight. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak and add any information to the request if they like. Members of the committee will have an opportunity to ask questions. And then members of the public who are in attendance will have the opportunity to speak for 2 minutes each to either make a comment or ask a question. What we have voted on as a position for each of these requests, given our standing policies, what we voted on as position for these requests most recently is a summary finding of whether DOT's proposed location received no significant objection from the community, or whether we heard and summarized significant concerns about DOT's proposed location. Our first request this evening is a request by Monroe Bus Lines for an intercity bus stop on the east side of 8th Avenue between 46th and 47th Streets at 766 8th Avenue. The proposed location, according to DOT, is an existing bus stop, and the current regulation is no standing. This location is already occupied by two operators, permits by two operators, Big Bus Tours and Gray Line. According to the DOT documents, there would be 3 daily pickups Monday through Thursday, occurring at 2:15 p.m., 5:45 p.m., and 6:55 p.m., and 1 daily pickup on Friday at 2:10 p.m. So 3 daily pickups Monday through Thursday, 1 on Friday, 4 daily drop-offs Monday through Thursday, and 1 daily drop-off on Friday at 8:20 a.m. That is the information we have from DOT, and at this point, if a representative of Monroe is in attendance, I'll let the requester add any information that they would like to add to this request. Is someone from Monroe with us?
Yes.
Hi, Abe.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Abe. Is there anything you'd like to add to the information that DOT has provided?
No, but I just want to give a little brief history of what's going on here. So I know a few months ago, we were on the same panel with Community Board 5, and we had 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue. So a little bit of history. These are not new bus stops requests. These bus stops have been used for over 10 years now. I explained it the last time. So 10 years ago, we took over, I'm sorry, in 2019, we took over a bus company that's been established for over 25 years, serving the community, Orange County Transit. So these bus stops were not chosen originally by us, they were just adopted by us. And these are a commuter service coming in, people from upstate New York, Orange County, coming to work at different locations in Manhattan. And happens to be, I agree, if we would get a slot in the Port Authority and we can serve everyone over there, that would be great. Our drivers would be more than happy to do it that way. But unfortunately, since we don't have a slot and we're serving a community, commuter workers that coming in and they have different locations. And mind you, we have a stop on Allen Street, we have a stop in Brooklyn, several stops in Brooklyn. So this is a route that comes in from upstate and stops off different places. It's not like we're doing a charter service or hop on or sightseeing. These are people we're bringing into work and we pick them up going home from work. So I would like to add that because it's important to know, because why are we requesting? I was actually surprised we didn't get all the stops and we went before Community Board 5 last time. Why wasn't it all done at the same time? When I got the email from Community Board 5 telling me that I have to go, I was like, what? We just went through it and we went through for the 2 stops. Why are we doing this again? I was as surprised, and I even spoke to Community 5. I was like, I couldn't believe it. But here we are again, and DOT is making us go through all these stops again. And we went through, I just went a few weeks ago from a different community for Allen Street, and so that I go in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. So it's not my choosing, and it's just a route that's been there for over 25 years, and we do this as a service for the county. This is not our thing. And these stops have been established for all these years to be used for people that work in the area. So that's all I just wanted to add.
That's really helpful context. Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to clarify that we share your frustrations with DOT's process as far as a lot of this goes, and particularly the way that it seems to be broken up and spread out, and that we receive these on a piecemeal, one at a time process, and that you have to come to many consecutive monthly meetings. That we don't know why that's the case either. We share your frustration, and our frustration is not directed at you, it's directed at the overall DOT process here. And that, our scope, as I was sort of describing a little bit about before, our scope will be, because this is how it comes to us, our scope this evening will be limited to, making sure to hear any community feedback on the specific location before us this evening, because that's how it came to us by DOT. But our frustration is certainly not directed at you, the applicant. So thank you for providing that context.
No problem.
Great, thanks. Okay, so with that context and with that information that we've been provided by DOT, particularly, some of the history that we've heard about the location, and the fact that there are 2 other operators currently permitted for the location. Are there any additional questions from any member of the committee for the applicant? Yeah, we'll start with Nancy.
Okay, there are 4 morning drop-off times, and you rattled them off, EJ, but I didn't get them. What are those drop-off times again for Monday through Thursday? There are 4 times.
Yeah, and they're in the letter from DOT. The 4 drop-off times Monday to Thursday are 7:15 a.m., 8:15 a.m., 9:15 a.m., and 9:50 a.m.
Okay, and there's one on Friday afternoon. That's a drop-off.
It's Friday morning at 8:20 a.m.
Okay, and then there are 3 afternoon pickup times. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to.
No, yeah, it's fine, and yeah, they're all in the DOT letter that was attached to the email. But the 3 daily pickups Monday through Thursday are 2:15 p.m., 5:45 p.m., and 6:55 p.m.
Okay.
And then there's 1 daily pickup on Friday at 2:10 p.m.
What is located at 766 8th Avenue? What is the business that is that address? This is in front of that location. Do we know what's there? I don't.
Abe, are you able?
Yeah,
Abe, are you
so
able to answer that?
there's a few jewelry stores. There was a laundromat over there. I cannot remember exactly every detail about the location, but I know.
I thought it was a hotel.
There was, I didn't see a hotel. No, I actually walked by. I think there's a hotel across the street. I don't think there's a hotel over there, a Lotus or a hotel. I did not see.
So it's small business stores.
Small business stores, and there was one at the corner, a larger store. I think a restaurant or a laundromat. I cannot remember exactly. I'm sorry about that.
And there are 2 other buses that use this stop, the big bus and the gray line, which are tour buses, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And are there any MTA buses that use this location?
I don't think so. I'm not sure though. I don't think so. I think it's only shared between the 2 sightseeing and the and our transit. The only thing I just want to add, if I may, our pickup and drop-offs are at most drop-offs was probably 2 minutes. At the pickup, it's not even 5 minutes. This is not a sightseeing tour that the bus shows up. The bus is actually traveling for location from Manhattan for 56th Avenue, coming to that stop, making a quick stop, picking up the commuters and leaving. This is not a bus that sits around, because these people, some of them are traveling from Brooklyn into Manhattan, different pickups, continuing on their way up Orange County. So it's important for you to.
What other stops do you have? You have the stop on 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue in the same block, right?
There's correct. Yes, correct.
And do you have any other stops in our district?
Not in your district, but there's one in Williamsburg. Not every bus connects, but some of them do. There's one on Allen Street, and then it continues to go up to Midtown and does these 3 stops before it heads into the tunnel.
So does the same bus stop on Fifth Avenue, Sixth Avenue, and then Eighth Avenue, or are they different?
Some of the runs, correct, yes. Some of the runs, they do stop, and they continue on, correct.
But not all of them. Some of them. Just
I would say on daily, out of the 3 pickups, I would say 2 of them for sure do that. But it could change though. It depends. If the bus would be full in Brooklyn, they would have a additional bus. But in more than likely, it's going to be the same stops, the same bus doing 5th, 6th, and 8th.
So in a week's time, how many buses are you sending into Midtown Manhattan?
So
The
there
number
are,
of total buses.
I'm sorry, yeah. So there's 3 buses coming in every day to Midtown Manhattan.
Only 3.
Yes, so there's 3 coming in. Some of them go directly to Brooklyn. Some of them do the commuter in the morning. So we have runs coming from starting 6 o'clock in the morning. Some of them travel to 11 o'clock at night. Most of them go only to Brooklyn. These are specific for commuters. So they are the one that these 3 that do the stops. Those are the ones that come into Manhattan.
So you have only 3 buses in your company?
No, we have a lot more than that. So I was saying the majority of them go to Brooklyn. They do not come in because some of them go to Brooklyn. They continue on to a different spot in Brooklyn, which is a little more Park Slope. These buses are designed exactly for do the commuter run, and that's why you have those timings. They leave at 7 o'clock, so they'll be arriving at 8. They'll leave at 6, and they'll be arriving at 7. Those are designed for commuters, and most of them, they all do continue all the way to Brooklyn. Now, as far as pickups, I want to be very specific. They do, most of them, I would say 2 or 3 of them start in Brooklyn and continue into Midtown Manhattan and do these stops. There is one of them that can start only in Manhattan on Allen and do the stops. But I believe that the same bus will do 5th, 6th, and 8th Avenue.
So you have four drop-offs, but only 3 buses. How does that accomplish?
No.
There'd be 4 buses?
I said there's 3 daily drop-offs and 3 daily pickups in Manhattan.
I want to know how many total buses you are bringing into Midtown Manhattan every day. What's the total number of buses?
3 buses.
But you have 4 stop times.
No, we don't. We have 3 daily drop-offs. This is the same bus continuing. He comes through the tunnel and he drops off on 8th Avenue, drops off 6th and 5th, and then continues on to Brooklyn. It's the same bus.
Yeah, Abe, let me see if I can rephrase. We have 4 daily drop-off times at this specific location: 7:15 a.m., 8:15 a.m., 9:15 a.m., and 9:50 a.m. at this one location. That would be 4 buses that drop off at this one location, right?
You're right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So there's 3 buses that continue to Brooklyn. There's 1 bus that does Manhattan only and drops off Allen Street, and that's the end of the run.
So then each of these 4 buses stop at 3 locations in Midtown. They stop
Correct.
at 8th Avenue, they stop at 6th Avenue, and they stop at 5th Avenue.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I need. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Those are my questions. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
All right. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Abe. Next up, Maki.
Thanks, EJ. This is a quick question for the applicant. I wonder if DOT or your operators might have mentioned the construction that's going on in that corner. It's supposed to apparently last for quite a few years, and I didn't know if there was an alternative to that you had already submitted for, or if you were advised of that.
We were not, thank you for the question. We were not advised, and we did not encounter any issues so far picking up or dropping off. And it might be the reason because we do such a quick pick up and drop off. So that might be the reason, but we have not encountered any issue with the construction at all.
Okay, the reason I bring it up is apparently they might be closing the sidewalks. So that was the reason I was asking if DOT had mentioned that to you.
Not at all, no.
All right, thanks, Maki. Any other questions from members of the committee? All right, not seeing any hands on Zoom. We will now turn to any members of the public who would like to make a comment or pose a question. We'd ask you to keep your comment to 2 minutes. And please use the raise hand feature now if you would like to comment on this request. We do have some dial-in users here. And Marisa, how do you raise your hand if you're dialed in?
It's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks, Marisa. Okay, so once again, our scope here is to make sure that we give a fair hearing to any concerns about the location in the request here. So I'm seeing 3 hands from members of the public. Again, please try to make sure that your comment is germane to this location, and you keep it to 2 minutes. We'll start with Deborah. Deborah, we will give you the ability to speak. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Deborah London, and I'm a resident at 247 West 46, which is at the corner, the southeast corner of 46 and 8. I did want to just add that there is a 3rd bus line that uses that block. It's listed on their website. It's Top View, and they operate 7 days a week it's a hop on, hop off. And they operate Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then they go later on the weekend. So to say that this block is congested is an understatement. I did want to add also that the construction that one of the committee members mentioned is a gigantic project by Excel. It can be found in various articles under the address of 740 8th Avenue. I think it's about 5 years and 100 floors. And we have heard that there will be sidewalk crossings, and there are a lot of, construction vehicles that are adding to the congestion. I will say, as far as the hotel, a lot of people use the block between the corner, the northeast corner. I said southeast, it's the northeast corner. To get out of taxis, to go to the Paramount to the east, to go to the Rio on the west side of the street. And it's really the only block that you can get out. If you try to get out on the west side of 8th Avenue in that block, there's a bike lane and it's flooded with motorized bikes, so it's somewhat treacherous. We have a lot of kids and elderly in the building, and the only place that we really can get out of the taxi, in or out of a taxi, is the east side of 8th Street, 8th Avenue, between 46 and 47. So I just wanted to be here and hopefully, add a little flavor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the comment. We appreciate it. The only other hand I see from members of the public right now is Ray Young. Ray, we will, you can now unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, my name's Ray. I'm also a resident of 247 West 46th, one of Deborah's neighbors. I just wanted to reinforce everything that she just told the committee here regarding congestion on this block, compounded by this years-long construction project going across the street and making a lot of disruption for traffic, as well as noise on a daily basis for all residents. And then I just also wanted to add that this block is also often congested during prime hours with Broadway shows. Lines are completely blocking the narrow sidewalks right beside our building, making it difficult even to walk through this area. The existing bus lines also have cordoned off space, so they actually cordon off a part of like half the sidewalk, I would say, typically for their lines to board these buses, multiple of them tourists as well as intercity. And this makes it even more difficult to even walk along this side of the street. That's pretty much what I had to say. Thanks.
Thank you. for the comment, Ray. Ray and Deborah appear to be the only two hands that we received from members of the public. So we'll come back into our business session. In business session, this is the time for only members of the committee to speak amongst ourselves to determine what, if any, action to take on this request. You know, I'll just kick things off by sort of reiterating the framing that we have been using for these types of requests. Again, not being presented with the total plans of any particular route or DOT's future plans for the neighborhood. We have discussed focusing, you know, most specifically on what we're hearing about any concerns about this particular location. And what we've just heard is, well, a couple of different things. We have heard in the past that top view, which I don't believe falls under either of the existing permits that DOT reported to us for this location, Big Bus and Gray Line, operates 7 days a week. This is not the first time that we've heard this about a location that's coming before us. And so the fact that DOT hasn't included it is either concerning or puzzling. DOT may not consider it at the exact same location, but it certainly sounds like it's a nearby. We have also heard about construction happening at, I think the address was 740 Fifth Avenue. We've heard about congestion, we've heard about construction, we've heard about noise, top view, Broadway shows, and the existing bus lines cordoning off space. Just to summarize what we have heard so far. Again, what we have done most recently is to summarize these concerns in a finding of either no significant objection or significant concern about the proposed location. I would love to hear other comments from members of the committee, and we'll start with Jonathan.
So I believe this is the corner I have actually complained about before with one of the hop on, hop off operators. Yeah, they might operate at the corner, but they also operate off to the side street on 46th or 47th. I forget which one it was. And the line snakes from maybe mid-block to the corner, down 8th, monopolizing space. On the traffic front, this is actually one of those blocks along 8th Avenue where we have the expanded sidewalk space, kind of where DOT has taken a lane of traffic, made it a lane of walking space along with the bike lane. So it's an even more constricted space like we've seen with the ones across on 7th Avenue. So just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Jonathan. Next up, Maki.
Thanks, EJ. Regarding the Broadway shows, this applicant is only requesting morning hours, so I don't think that there'll be a conflict there. Just for everybody's awareness, the M20 and M104 run up that street, and I think it has stops on 43rd, 46th, and 49th. And for due diligence, there is in fact a hotel at that corner on the west side is the Ryu Plaza.
Thanks, Maki. The drop-offs are only in the morning, but the pickups do appear to be in the afternoon and evening. And I suppose that could potentially conflict with, well, either matinees or people about to enter shows. Just looking at the times that we have here, 2:15 p.m., 5:45 p.m., 6:55 p.m., and then on Friday at 2:10 p.m. Yeah, Nancy.
Okay, so I think there's significant concerns with the construction. And also this operator currently has 2 stops on 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue between 46 and 47. So I think they should find another location. This doesn't sound like it's easily accessible. And there's actually a 3rd tour bus along with the construction and the residents' complaints and objections, I think there are significant concerns here. So that would be my take on all of this.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. I mean, I think I would agree that what we heard tonight are, not insignificant, which is to say significant, concerns about this particular location. I think as we've discussed in the past, we don't know what other locations DOT assessed as alternatives. And, it wouldn't be an informed analysis of ours to start trying to propose alternatives as we have sometimes tried to do in the past. But, in terms of a purely objective summary of what we heard and provided a forum for the community tonight, it does sound like there are a number of relevant significant concerns related to this specific location. I wouldn't want to summarize them for the committee, but it certainly sounds like it would probably include the Top View sightseeing bus, the construction, and Broadway shows, and those existing bus permits. Yeah, Nancy?
I've been on this committee a number of years, and oftentimes no one comes from the community to give us opposition reasons for why a bus stop isn't right. Here we have two very strong opponents, and so that plays into my concerns that there's a problem with this site. It's unusual, actually, that we have that many people, anyone even come and say they're opposed to a bus stop. So that's also weighs my concerns about this stop.
Yep. Thanks, Nancy. And I just want to reiterate, DOT is going to do what DOT is going to do, and what we can do is summarize and those concerns for DOT. And I, not seeing any other comments at this point, that seems to be the sense of the committee. To summarize these as the significant concerns about the location. Again, it's not a commentary on the applicant or frankly any alternatives, and we don't know what alternatives DOT looked at, but it certainly sounds like we've heard tonight significant concerns about this location, and we can say as such. So I suppose I'm suggesting to the committee that be the sense of our resolution. Are there any other comments or opposing thoughts on that? Yeah, Joel.
Yeah, just one, only because when we do this, we kind of tend to take the reasons that we do it to make a decision today and carry them forward for the next time as precedent. So two things. One, I don't disagree about the concerns about construction, the concerns about what else is going on the street, but there are two things I just want to note. One is Top View is posted on that street. There is on that bus stop a sign that says Top View is one of the users of it. So just as I don't think there's a third tour bus, it's just the two tour buses. But I just lost my train. In terms of what Nancy said about the fact that they have a stop on 6th Avenue. 6th Avenue is almost a third of a mile away. I don't think that's significant. I think if this bus, these commuters, need to get off at 8th Avenue, that the fact that they have a stop at 6th Avenue really shouldn't preclude them from stopping here. It's not like they have a stop like an MTA bus every other block. So I would just say if that's part of the reasoning for the resolution, I wouldn't be supportive of that, but a lot of the other reasons I do agree with.
Thanks, Joel. I think I would agree with you. If we're limiting our scope to the comments that we heard tonight about this specific location, I don't know that I would broach the applicant's other locations within the scope of this particular reso. I would say that in addition to the concerns that maybe I just listed out as what we heard tonight, as we frequently do, I think this reso could reiterate that, we continue to call on DOT to come up with a more, as the applicant themselves talked about tonight, to come up with a more comprehensive plan for the placement of these bus stops, and to work with the applicants to get as many of these buses off of the streets and into an inner city bus terminal as possible. Those, again, are standing positions, and we can reiterate that. Yeah, Nancy.
My information says that there is Big Bus Line and Gray Line as the two tour buses. Now, Top View then, Joel, EJ would be a third bus stop, would be a third tour bus. Or are Big Bus and Gray Line one and the same?
Joel, my understanding is that Gray Line is not currently operating, and Big Bus is doing business as taxi tours. So for whatever reason, the Top View, I believe everyone who said it, that they are operating 7 days a week there. For the only issue is that DOT for some reason did not include them in the letter as one of the current users of the stop. I think that's why it was mentioned that they might be a third existing permit that Top View is operating there. Does that sound conflicting to anybody? I mean, that seems to be the discrepancy, that it wasn't included in the letter, but that there may be as many as 3 existing permits at that location. Yeah, Janice?
Thanks, EJ. Yeah, I'll just clarify, since I handled the application for Big Bus, and I remember when they had applied, they were saying that Gray Line had entered into a operating agreement with them. So although I'm not clear based on their presence at the last meeting and what they said regarding Gray Line, how quickly Gray Line would be able to come back into operation. So I think, to be safe, it would be prudent to consider them as 2 separate, even though Big Bus had claimed that they are pretty much operating as one, it sounded like.
Yeah, I think that is the prudent thing to assume, the worst case scenario, which is to say at some point we may be dealing with Big Bus, Gray Line, Top View, and Monroe potentially all operating at the same location, because that is the union of everything that we seem to know about right now. Yeah, George.
Yes, just one other point. There was an announcement just a couple of days ago about a creation of a new director of the public realm, which of course includes 6,000 miles of street in the city. But I think we should make sure we include that in any resolution we talk about a comprehensive plan, that it certainly ought to involve the new director of the public realm as well.
That feels prudent to me. Thanks, George.
Yes.
Abe, we're technically in our business session right now, which is just for members of the committee. But if you have anything, I guess, to clarify on any of the things that we were just kind of talking about, is that the case?
Pretty much.
I'm sorry. Did you have a clarification for us?
Yes, I do.
Sure. Sure. Go ahead.
So I just want to explain just one little point. We're talking about hop-on touring buses that they load, they pick up, it takes some time, you have a lot of people on the street. It's a huge difference between hop-on touring buses and a commuter bus that people just get on, the bus leaves, the bus stays. The bus is never longer there more than 3-4 minutes. So I know we're all, if the touring buses are there, we don't even get affected by any of these buses. A bus drops, picks up, and leaves. So I just want to, there is a big difference between touring buses, sightseeing buses, and an inner city bus that does a commuter run, drops off, bus goes on, picks up, the bus goes on.
Yep. Yep. Appreciate it, Abe. And again, we're not trying to arrive at, any kind of judgment on you as an operator this evening. We're mainly focused on summarizing the feedback that we've heard from the community. but thank you for the clarification. It does to me sound like we are circling around the same basic points of feedback that we would place in a resolution at this point. Are there any other comments from any members of the committee, either to the contrary of that, or to any other effect? Would there be any motion from anyone on the committee as to the effect of a resolution summarizing the significant concerns that we heard about this particular location this evening, as previously summarized? Would anyone like to move a resolution to that effect? Yeah, Nancy.
Move to deny this location because it's congested. And we have a number of reasons for why it's congested, and the DOT should look for another location.
I guess I just want to be
at least for 5 years while the construction is going on, because the sidewalk will probably be closed. So where will these people wait?
I guess I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about what language we're talking about adopting here. For the last month, we did not adopt any approve or deny language. We framed our resolution as if we're scoping it to summarizing the comments of the community, we did not use the terminology deny, particularly because we know that DOT does not deny permits, and we don't know what alternatives they looked at. So I guess what I'm continuing to suggest is that we scope the resolution to summarize our significant concerns. So it would be a dramatic shift from that framing to talk about going back to denying, and I suppose we can talk about that, but that is not what we did for the last month. And I suppose I'd be curious whether anyone agrees or believes we should kind of stick with the current precedent, the current framing that we've been using of significant concern. My personal opinion has been that the denial framing doesn't really make sense as a way to use the community board's voice in these applications, because DOT says that they cannot deny applications and that we have no notion of what other locations they have assessed. Yeah, David.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
I just don't, we don't get enough information in the first place. We can't really do a full set of due diligence on this. They clearly only ask us for comments, and as you have said, they feel like they have to accept these applications. So I think all we can do is be the voice of our constituents and lay out the information that we're able to get through whatever level of due diligence we do and the comments that we receive at these sessions. And that's what the resolution should be.
Thank you, David. Much appreciated. And yeah, I suppose the only thing I'll add is that the more we try to frame it as a denial and get ignored, the more I think it actually dilutes the potency of our voice as the community. Yeah, Jonathan.
I think we should continue with the framework that we adopted last month. Basically we're distilling public commentary, things we've observed, things, whether it's the business improvement district or someone with, significant interest in the area. And then ending with, we're calling on the city DOT for a comprehensive plan and oversight. That's it.
Great, thank you. Pete.
I agree with the new format that we adopted last month. I think providing the feedback from the community and the comments to DOT, I agree with that process.
Thank you, Pete. Nancy?
I'm just looking at last month's resolution for this same bus company, and we did have a resolve that we recommended approval. So what is our resolve if it's not approval or denial? That I need to know what the resolve is. I'm not sure what we're voting on. Or are we not voting, or are we not voting?
No,
I'm
yep. No, we're voting. Last month, and I can share a link to last month's resolution. Sorry, so Monroe was not last month. Last month we heard from Aurora and Go New York Tours, so we would be using that format. And we can share a link here, but this would be the format that we'd be using, and the resolved would take the form of Community Board 5 finds significant concern for the proposed location, including the particular topics and areas of concern that we listed out here. Yeah, Maki.
May I take a shot at for a motion?
Yeah, I think so. I'll just check and make sure one more time there are no other comments about the approach here. Again, I shared one of the resos from last month in the chat, which of course you can also find on cb5.org. But yeah, the language that we adopted last month, indeed we will vote on this right now. But it essentially lays out within the whereases what we know about this location, the pickups and drop-offs that are being requested, the commentary and concerns that we heard from the community, and then a resolved indicating that Community Board 5 finds significant concern for the proposed location. So if there are no other questions or comments, yes, Maki, I would happily entertain a motion.
I'm going to make it kind of sort of detailed just to help out whoever's writing the resolution. So I move for a resolution regarding Monroe bus lines to find relevant significant concerns from the community, specifically related to congestion and construction, highlighting the continued call for a comprehensive plan from DOT, along with added outreach for the new director of the public realm.
Thank you very much, Maki. Would there be a second? Yes, Nancy.
I will second it. Maki, can you email that to me since I'm writing the resolution? That's why I'm asking all these questions.
No, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you
for
your help.
All right. There's a motion and a second, and we will take this to a vote. We will start with John.
Yes.
Jonathan. Thank you. Nancy.
Yes.
Tristan.
Yes.
Kathy. We lost Kathy. Maki.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Pete.
Yes.
Janice.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Did I miss
Yes.
anybody?
Yes, I'm not listed as Sarah, not sure why, but I say yes.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Okay.
And
great.
me, BJ?
And BJ.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abe, as well. Again, I appreciate you rolling with us and understanding our issues with DOT's process, and obviously that this kind of limited finding is not a commentary on you as an operator. Obviously DOT is going to do what DOT is going to do, but we thank you very much for appearing tonight, answering all of our questions, and helping us out with all that clarification. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. All right. With that, we will move on to our second and final request of the evening. This is a request by the sightseeing operator, Aurora Tourism, doing business as New York Iconic Cruises. It's a request for a sightseeing bus stop on the west side of 7th Avenue between 56th and 57th Streets. According to DOT, this is an existing bus stop. The parking regulation is no standing. As requested by the operator, there will be pickups and drop-offs Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with one trip every 2 hours. Despite the fact that DOT refers to it as an existing bus stop, their letter does not refer to what other operators or MTA buses are operating there. So first we'll turn to the applicant. Is there a representative from Aurora in attendance tonight?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Is there any information you would like to add to this request besides what we just detailed as being given to us by DOT?
Not really. This is part of the application that's reviewed by this committee last month. But this just happens to come for whatever reason 1 month after. It's contained in the same set of application.
Yep, as we discussed with the previous applicant, we don't know why DOT breaks it up the way they do, but for some reason they made us wait another month and look at it separately. So, again, thank you for appearing and being available to answer our questions. We don't know why DOT necessarily does it the way they do. I keep checking, but it still doesn't seem like we have anyone from DOT in attendance to answer our questions. So our guess is as good as yours. With that, I will open things up to any questions from members of the committee. Joel.
Can you explain exactly where on the block between 56th and 57th this is meant to be?
Do you want me to? Oh, sorry.
It's between the block. The DOT has not actually identified the exact location, but alongside 4 other options, they chose this particular place. The exact location has not been identified to us by DOT.
That is wild.
Well, it's already, there is a sign there already that has Top View and Big Bus as operators at that location.
That's the letter does say it's on the west side of the street. That's on the west side of the street, David.
Yeah, west side of the street. It's almost mid-block. And Top View and Big Bus, and Top View does show it as a stop on their website. Big Bus does not, but it might be seasonal because I looked at a Google Street View as well, and there were 2 big buses parked right in front of it in July of 2022. So,
right. So the north half of that block is where the existing stop is located.
There's no other posting on that. There's just the middle of the block is one sign, and that sign is for Top View and Big Bus and nothing else.
Right. Okay. So they're talking about the north half of the block. Okay.
I think David keeps saying it's mid block. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, the buses will stop on the north half of the block, right?
The sign is mid block. So going downtown on the right hand side, they're going to stop to the north of that.
Yeah. It's all commercial. There's no residential entrances along there. It's all restaurants.
Okay.
And there's no MTA bus.
I'll wait for comments. Okay.
All right. Thanks. Was that it for your questions, Joel?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. David, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I was just answering Joel's question.
All right. Great. Thanks. Are there any other questions from any of the members of the committee? All right. With that, we will open things up to any members of the public who are in attendance. If you have any comment or question as pertains to this request, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom right now, and we'll get a sense of any commentary. I'm currently not seeing any hands from members of the public. Okay. With that, we will take things into our business session where this is just a time for members of the committee to talk amongst ourselves to determine what, if any, action to take. If we are continuing to use this framing of summarizing any significant concern that we have heard from the community as pertains to this location, we have really not heard much of a significant concern so far. Are there any? Again, it sounds like there are two existing buses, Big Bus and Top View, at this location. It sounds like it's a commercial location. Any comments from members of the committee? Yeah, Joel.
So, member of the committee, but I also live around the corner from here and I walk this block at least twice a day.
You definitely count as a member of the community as well.
The community. So this half of this block is a particular pinch point. And the reason I asked where this spot was intended, the southern half of this street is wide open. There's nothing there. There's very little blocking or sticking out into the sidewalk. On the north half of the street, there's a subway entrance and at least two restaurants, one of which has a large outdoor seating area as soon as the weather gets warm that basically uses up the entire sidewalk. We've had many complaints against them and they've scaled it back, but they still use up most of the sidewalk. The rest of the sidewalk is grates for the subway. So there's pretty much no place to walk in the nice weather because you're either walking on a grate or you're in the middle of the sidewalk cafe. I think it's a pinch point. I think the other half of the block is fantastic. If that's included in this or possibly included in this proposal, then that's fine, but that's not the existing bus stop, as David pointed out. According to Google Maps, it's just a no standing zone. So that's my comment. It's not that the site is inherently bad, but it's inherently bad. It's bad because of what else is going on there. That's my comment.
Thanks, Joel. I'll read what's in the letter from DOT. The proposed location is on 7th Avenue from West 56th Street to West 57th Street, closer to West 56th Street's west side of the street. I'm not defending any of the grammar that we're seeing there because I think better commas would clarify a lot of what that's trying to say. But closer to 56th Street does sound like DOT may be proposing the south half. Yeah, Maki.
I hate to add to this, but I believe that's an MTA bus stop on the south half, which is the reason why the stop that they were talking, not the corner, but just below it, on the south side of the crosswalk on 55th, the north part of 55th, I believe, is an MTA bus stop, which is why they didn't want to use the south half and chose the middle.
Oh, so there's, okay. When we talk about the middle, we're saying that is where there are existing posted bus stops. But what DOT's letter says is, this is like Kremlinology, trying to figure out what these letters say, that the proposed location is closer to West 56th Street on the west side of the street. So I suppose that could mean mid-block, or I suppose it could mean that they are aiming to permit the south side of the block. There's an alternative here, which is to say that our framing is that we have a significant concern of that we can't figure out what part of the block you're talking about. Janice.
Yeah, so I remember when I surveyed the block a few months ago, the only bus stop that I saw was actually for Top View. And I'd written in the resolution that that could have also been an alternative stop for Big Bus. looking at Google Maps now, I don't know if the image has changed since I don't recall that image that I'm seeing now with Big Bus in front of the sidewalk. But I mean, what Joel said was right, though. There is a big grate. That would be my only concern, is that even though it is a wide sidewalk, unless people are standing on the grate or walking on the grate, then it's not as wide as it seems.
Yep. Thanks, Janice. So, we do need to come into a landing on our characterization here of, didn't hear anything from the public, but we could determine whether, we ourselves as members of the community are raising a significant concern with the north side of the block, and we can simply specify that our significant concern is with the north side of the block, and we have a concern that we can't tell where DOT is trying to place this, but that we think the south side of the block is perhaps more appropriate. Yes, Nancy.
We did have a comment from the community. Joel lives near this block, so we need to say that we did have a comment from the community.
You're absolutely correct. We do, and we need to say it exactly that way. I simply meant to say that there wasn't any additional comment in the public session, but you're 100% correct. Joel is comment from the community, and I think we should characterize it as such in our concerns. Yes. Jonathan.
Yeah, I just want to say, as you look through Google Maps, it looks like there has been throughout time, there has been the mid-block stop, and there was also a stop at the southern end, which looks like it was used by MTA mostly. So maybe, that needs to be pointed out, like, are they planning on reactivating one of these stops? Is it going to share? Again, that adds to our confusion.
I mean, it does appear that it's going to share regardless of whether it's placed at the northern end / mid-block or the southern end, if that's indeed the case. Joel?
Just going to say about the MTA bus stop. So the sidewalk on the block, the west side of 7th Avenue from 57th to 58th was widened a few years ago. And when they did that, they put all the MTA bus stops on that block. There are 2 buses stop at the southern half of the block, and the 7 and the 104, and the others stop at the northern end of the block. So unless they get rid of that for some reason, which seems to be a perfect spot for it, there's not going to be an MTA bus stop on this particular block.
Okay. Thank you. Maki?
I would just say, given the confusion, we may not want to specify that the south part is better, and just to say that there was confusion.
I think that's a pretty good framing. I would, at this point, perhaps be so bold as to suggest to the committee that we say here that we've that the community, members of the community sitting on the community board, or just members of the community in general, raised significant concerns with the existing stops on the north part and the choke point on the north part of the block, and concern with the fact that we really can't tell from this request, from the letter from DOT, which part of the block it's going to be placed on. And those are our 2 main significant concerns about this location. Would there be any contravening comment from anyone on adopting that position, which will likely be written by David? In that case, would anyone want to make a motion as pertains to that language?
Yeah, I'll make the motion since I have to write it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. So we will take this language of those specific concerns about this location to a vote. And we'll start with Jonathan.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Tristan.
Yes.
Kathy. No, I think we lost Kathy. Maki.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
BJ,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
George. Oh, it looks like we lost George. Okay. Joel.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So that of course passes as well. Many thanks to the applicant for being here tonight, for answering our questions, and for helping us characterize the feedback about this location. We very much appreciate it. Wish you best of luck in your dealings with DOT. And that concludes our agenda for the evening. Is there any new business? Yes, Nancy.
It's about the resolution I'm writing. You know, I just realized that DOT is the agency that issues the sidewalk closure permits for construction sites. So my question to you, EJ, is why would DOT not have coordinated that information from one a part of the agency to another part of the agency by saying that they want to put bus stops where there's a construction site? And it just hit me that there was something bothering me, and now what do you think about that?
I don't think it's morally justifiable, but having been someone who has worked in government, I am not shocked that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, even inside of a single agency. I am not surprised that they're not sharing that information, but you're right, that would have made a lot of sense.
Should we ask in the resolution to have better coordination with the various parts of DOT, or just leave it alone? That would be the question.
I don't think it's a terrible thing to, perhaps, we've already voted on the resolution, so I don't know that I would go forward and add too much language to it right now. It's certainly something we could do, even sticking with our framing of the resolved as it is right now. Something we could do in the future is to say whereas DOT should really coordinate a lot more internally between their various divisions. I don't know that I would retroactively add that language to the resolution we've already voted on. Thanks, though. Any other new business? Okay, that brings to a conclusion our agenda for the evening and our meeting. My thanks to everyone for coming out tonight and rolling with all the ins and outs of our agenda. Everybody have a great evening.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.